The European Investment Bank will owe the UK an astonishing sum of money for over 30 years after Brexit is finalised, according to the institution's chief in a throwback interview. Post-Brexit trade talks are make or break this month, as the EU chief negotiator Michel Barnier demanded that significant headway needed to be made in June. Mr. Barnier said he was still determined but not optimistic, while Prime Minister Boris Johnson has not budged and intends to bring the transition phase to an end by the beginning of 2021. The EU has even suggested extending the negotiation period by 2 years, a suggestion which key Brexiteer David Davis laughed at on LBC this morning. He added, of course he is open to a 2-year extensions, he wants our money for another 2 years. The EU is in terrible trouble financially. This reaction from the former Brexit secretary will remind Brexiteers of when it was revealed the EU central bank will owe Britain for decades after it leaves the bloc. In 2017, the European Investment Bank's chief Alexander Stubb told BBC Radio 4, everyone on both sides of the negotiating table agree that we have to pay back the €3.5 billion PS3 $1 billion basically in cash, and that will happen over a long period, up until 2054, because that's when the loans are amortized. The UK along with the other member states have paid taxpayer funds into the European Investment Bank to capitalise it. The bank then issues low-rate loans to fund infrastructure throughout the bloc. Britain's share was the same size as Italy, France and Germany's, all of which were the largest out of the member states. Back on Radio 4, Mr. Stubb then said, I have a British hot pumping. I'm married to a Brit, my children have dual nationality, and I think Brexit is one of the biggest travesties that we have seen in the modern era. So I will do everything in my power to alleviate the pain. But the economic facts are just such that there are no winners in Brexit apart from perhaps a few lawyers. Unfortunately, we will see this in the coming years. He also claimed the institution was not trying to punish Britain for Brexit. The UK has repeatedly shown it is not afraid of leaving the bloc without a trade deal in place. Last week, the government's Europe advisor David Frost told the House of Lords EU committee, the government's position is pretty clear that we are not going to ask for an extension, and if the EU asks for one, we will not agree to that. So I think that's just part of the framework now, and we're working to an end-year deadline. A source close to the negotiation suggested that Brussels was causing some difficulties. They pointed out that the EU was repeatedly pushing for an agreement on fishing rights even though the bloc signed negotiation terms which stated that a separate fisheries deal would be arranged in July. The insider explained, they clearly need to reconsider their position to avoid backsliding on the agreement made last autumn, and stop making demands incompatible with our future status as an independent coastal state. Mr. Johnson has also emphasized that he would be willing to walk away from negotiations in September, unless the EU compromises. The UK will decide on July 1 whether to extend the transition period beyond the end of this year. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe our channel to receive the latest news.